Hey, I'm DJ. Welcome to another episode of Rising Through Concrete. As always, we're going to jump right into it. We have a question of the day, and we're going to go through it and we're going to talk about, where we've been, what we're doing, and where we're going with these questions. So, the question of the day is, what big decision in your life felt scary at the time, but looking back was the best choice you ever made? Now, as always, I want you guys to hop on all of the social media platforms where you see Rising Through Concrete or Build, Rise, and Thrive, and let me know what you think. I want to know what big decisions in your life felt scary at the time, but now looking back, you're like, you know what? I got this. It was something that really needed to happen. I'm really excited it did. And for the most part, you're just like, it made me that much stronger. But in the moment, you may have just felt a touch vulnerable. I mean, it's a real feeling. Why not? It happens. So let's just jump right into this. First part of this is, like where has this really affected me as I'm talking to you guys? I would say there's a lot. But if I had to really like think about me personally, where it was like a choice that I had to make and I had to really think about what the long term was going to be down the line, and I either had to like take that leap or deal with it later, and I wasn't necessarily sure I was going to land on my feet or not. I'd have to say it was two things. Well, I guess three. Because I have to be transparent. We can always say right now we're good, but we weren't or aren't always in that moment. I'd say one is going to be being with my husband. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did, right? And it was one of those things where there has to be a push on both sides to make something work. Things aren't always perfect, and you really have to get to learn the other person. You've got to see and take time to pause, right? And it's weird. So if you guys believe in astrology, or if you're like, I'm an Aquarius or I'm a Sagittarius or a Taurus, so I'm a Libra. I'm a Libra, and so is he. And the interesting thing is, when we think about it that way, he and I always have this thing where he and I are oftentimes balanced, but we are always at the other end of the scale. So we're always balancing the other one out. And early on, it was a power struggle because he was going 100% left and I was going 100% right. But we agreed on so much, and the love was there, and we were going through this phase of, are we in love with each other, or are we in love with one another, or is this is this loving on each other's potential, because this isn't our first time being together, right? We're trying this again, more mature. It didn't have to happen, and we had to get to a space where we both had to take a pause and really ask each other the hard, uncomfortable question of, where does your value lie? And him asking me that question as well, and then recognizing that if we were going to be back together, things were going to have to change, because it's not just one or the other. We're building together. And we can be individuals. However, in being individuals, we're now building together. And we had to kind of find a way to braid that together. So that would be my large decision, because for me, it was like, there's a past here. I don't know if I want to jump back into that. But for me, it was shutting hell up and saying, all right, let me try this. Let me try this, because I see the energy and I see the effort, and it wasn't me pushing it. It was him really making the effort and recognizing over time, like, yes, both of us had faults here, but he really was like, I really have things I want to address and atone for. So, that was number one, is like really just addressing the relationship and my husband. The second, I would say, would be in my career. I think I probably shared this with you guys a couple times, or probably shared this in an earlier podcast, but I was in a position where I do want to move up. And I've felt like this in not just one place of employment, but like maybe one or two. And I'll get to a space where I'm comfortable, I'm moving up, and then there's no more there. There's nothing left on that trajectory for me. And I become bored. Not bored in the sense where the work, is hard, or I mean not hard, but like the work is just mundane. It's like, okay, I can come in and do this, but I'm not feeling a spark. I'm not feeling any drive. I don't feel motivated to do it, so I'm just not, right? It continues to feel that way. And when I get that feeling, or when I feel that coming up or bubbling up, sometimes I try to tamp it down, because I don't know if it's situational, or if I'm reaching a part of my career, or if I'm reaching a part of me where it's like, no, it's time to turn the page. Like, you've learned all you can, you've done all you can, it's time to make the jump. And so I've missed opportunities because I'm staying, attempting to be loyal, or I'm staying because, I feel this spark for the people I'm serving, or, what it is I really want to do and get out into the world. And so I feel like those networks are there. However, at the end of the day, I recognize, like, I'm hurting myself. Like, I'm hurting myself because I'm stuck in this space, and I really can't get out what, my heart really wants to get out. And so the second part of that was like me turning down positions and having to deal with what that would do to me and my family financially, because I recognized I would not have given it 100%. Could I have done the work? Yes. Do I think that, like, it could have grown on me over time? I'm sure it could have. But anybody who's ever worked in an office will tell you, office politics plays a large role, and there's only but so much of the game that you're going to be willing to play and dance around it. You don't have to deal with it. You can understand the game. You can create a new game if you want. Like, it's a whole move. But no, there's so many people who've created paths of their own to say, it's unnecessary. If this is the mission at hand, then let's do that. And to create these unnecessary vacuums where people do feel undervalued is unnecessary. And that's ultimately why people leave. People leave because they feel undervalued, whether it's the direct result of a supervisor, a manager, or the workspace or the culture, right? So I've turned down positions for that very reason. Not because I couldn't do the work, but because I was like, yeah, this isn't going to play well for me in the long run. And I was absolutely right. I now looking back, it's like I dodged a bullet. There's this part of me that's like, I wish I can go back and kind of think, rethink that, and maybe I would have done well. But ultimately, when you put all the chips out, I realized, like, nah, I'm good. I'm absolutely good. The third, because I did share with you guys, I got 3, right? The third one, and it's not last, but it's my biggest one, is my husband and I having my niece. And I truly do think of her as my daughter. It's impactful in so many ways, because it's impactful for so many ways because, I don't think she recognizes the scary part for us. Like, she sees what she sees through her eyes as a teenager right now, because we've had her for quite some time, like for a couple of years. So like she's kind of going through this emotional evolution right now, and high school is a beast. But it's the scariest decision for us to say yes and work as hard and as feverishly as we are to make this a reality for her, because she deserves it. As she comes out on the other side, I think she's turning into she's turning into the most phenomenal woman. I'm always at a loss for words to say and speak to her growth. Since my husband and I've had her, and I say my husband, but his name is Chris, and but it's so phenomenal to see her grow. And of course there are those days and those phases of like her pushing back and being mad and challenging because she thinks nobody understands her or hears her. But it's like, as she starts to grow and come into it, it's like, oh no, wait, nope, she got it, she's getting it, and we want to come in and swoop in and save her. And both Chris and I take different approaches with her, so it's like, okay, we're kind of in this space where we're just kind of backing off and just letting her do it. And we appreciate her ability, whether she says it or not, we see it. Her ability to just pause, her ability to take her own empathy into consideration. We see her now coming into this space of like leading, because she wasn't at first. And that wasn't that she couldn't, but she was fearful of trusting herself, and she has nothing to be fearful of. And what I can say is, while it was a scary ass decision for Chris and I to be like, yes, we'll take her, we'll keep her, we'll love her, we'll do all of those things. And I think in it's been a hard journey for myself, Chris, for my sister, and my niece. And what I will say is, there's no love, there's no missing love in this circle or this space at all. My sister and I have a great relationship now. We've worked on quite a lot of it because it was necessary and needed, but we are all on the same page. And I'm not going to be one of those people who share, one side of the story. I'd say, if you don't believe me, ask, and that's absolutely all right. It's phenomenal, right? It's absolutely phenomenal. But I want to pause right here, give you guys a break real quick. Got a couple messages to share, and then we're going to come right back and we're going to wrap this up. All right, you guys, before we get into the next part of this show, I want to take a pause and highlight Anchor for making the show possible and just sharing with you guys how we're even moving forward with just building better, period. So I want you all to know that Anchor, one, is free. Everybody likes free, and I know for the most part, most people will say if it's free, it's not of quality. One, I want to just debunk that. Not true. A couple things with Anchor. One, yes, you can distribute your podcast. Anchor will take care of all of that for you, and it's done through most of the major mainstream platforms that you would listen to a podcast. One of the other pieces that I really do enjoy about using Anchor is that a lot of the tools that you'll need are right there within either the app or the website itself. So it's not like you have to download anything extra, and they're always looking for ways to be innovative and add extra features that the listeners and the users are looking forward to, making the process a little bit easier. Another piece to that is you can, yes, make money from the podcast. No, there is no minimum listenership. And of course, everything is in one place. I just want to let you guys know, yes, it's an app. You can do it directly from your phone. It's going to be anchor.fm to get started. Don't believe me? I'll drop it down in the description of all of the episodes moving forward, so you guys will have that. And if anything changes, I'll be the first to let you know. Hey there, and we are back. Of course, I forgot at the beginning of this show to share with you guys a couple of highlights that's going on with Build, Rise, and Thrive, right? So I say we, it's me, y'all. It's me and Chris. But it's still we, y'all. It's still we. Um, the Legacy signature bands will be out. The Infinity bands, or bracelets, however you identify wearing the amazing things around your wrist. They will be coming out the first week of December, you guys. So that's probably around like the last week of November, first week of December. I say that because it's like December 1st, between the 1st, November 30th and the 1st. You guys should really start seeing things pop up. Check Instagram, check Facebook. I think things are still on Facebook and Twitter. They are most definitely there. So if you guys do most definitely want those, keep an eye out for them. They are coming. Those bands are called Legacy. They are the emerald green, they are ebony black, and they are, of course, gold. So those bands are the colors of Build, Rise, and Thrive. And so I want you guys to be the first ones to get them. If you do between now and November 30th, use the code RISE 2022 is your promo code. You will receive 40% off on those bands, because that is not going to last at all. That is the Black Friday sale as they're coming out, and they are in limited supply. That sale does end on November 30th, 2021, using the promo code RISE 2022. So if you use the code, you get 40% off. That is a Black Friday sale. Please keep in mind they are handmade, so they are in limited supply. Be mindful, y'all. I do have to physically design these and make them by hand, so please be mindful that once they're out, they are out until they are back in. All right, so keep an eye out for those. Again, they should be out a little. They should be out actually around Thanksgiving, and they're going to be, the sale will go on up until the 30th, and can't wait for you guys to grab one. Now, back to what we're talking about, which is our question today, which is really focused and based on courage. I forgot to give y'all the theme of the show, too. So the theme of the show is courage. Anywho, the question that we've been answering is, what big decision in your life felt scary at the time, but looking back was the best choice you ever made? So I'm not going to jump down that rabbit hole and go through all of the stories and scenarios like I did the first time, but let me just do a really quick recap. So my niece, who honestly in a short amount of time will become my daughter, Chris and I's daughter, I think that has been one of the scariest yet impactful and positive choices that we could have ever made. I did also share one of me just in the workspace, in my, just being employed and working and making those choices have also been hard. That's that's not something that comes easy. So, being in those spaces can be a bit uncomfortable. And you just want to make sure that, as you're making these choices, you have the opportunity to, think forward. I think with all of them, we sometimes want to pause and not ruffle feathers too much. We don't want to rock the boat because we feel like, nobody's really going to understand or hear us or want to give us the time of day. But at the end of the day, if we don't take a stand, if we don't make that decision, if we don't put ourselves out there, then it's not going to happen. And sometimes, we scare ourselves a little bit because we don't recognize how strong we are. We don't recognize how much we've learned. We don't, we get into our own head at times, and it stops us from doing so much. Even with this podcast, I can't tell you how many times I've just constantly failed and been inconsistent, only to then step out on this side of it and be proud of the fact that I have been consistent whether the listenership is up or down, no matter if there's 1 or 2 people or 2 million people listening, I'm absolutely proud that there's a community here. And so, with that being said, it's a great platform and space. And as we go into 2022, there are other things that I want to share with you guys as well, because I actually really, really, really do want you guys on the podcast. This is a conversation. It's not just me talking at you all and sharing me, but I actually want to hear from you. So I am going to be starting a series in 2022. I'm still thinking through some of the ideas right now, just to be honest with you, but I'll give you more details of that later on. But let me just wrap this up really quickly, just to share with you, where I'm going, because I think I've talked about like what I was doing, where I was, what I'm doing. Let's talk about, where I'm going with making big decisions and feeling scary. Fear is real. We can't shake it. And for those of you who are aware of, the 6 keys in the Thrive space on, the website for Build, Rise, and Thrive, I have a short workshop there. It's called Grabbing the Keys. And it goes to these 6 keys that I've just learned and listened to from people over the years, prior to me becoming a life coach, prior to me starting all of this and creating this platform. One of them is that challenge and change is real. You can't avoid challenge or change. And I think this one, when you respond with courage, it speaks volumes. And that's really what that's really where all of this lives, right? Every big decision, thinking back on it, even now, and even when I have done it before, whether it be my relationship with Chris, whether it be my job, whether it be with my children, it all started with me being uncomfortable, because I was like, wait a minute, this is new. Do I have the opportunity to ask questions? Do I trust myself? Because if I can't pause and ask those questions, it becomes really hard. It really does. So, your takeaway from today's episode is courage. I want you to take with you the ability to allow yourself to be courageous. Allow yourself to not doom the situations in front of you. Take hold of what's in front of you and just go. It's not hard. It may be complicated, but there's nothing placed in front of you that you are not capable of finding a path forward to. And I say that because it may be that, you're not meant to do it alone. So guess what? That means you need to take a step back. You need to go make yourself not some friends, if friends aren't your thing, but that might mean, hey, go make yourself some acquaintances. Go network a little bit. You can't do it all, but you can find somebody else who can. Sometimes it takes flipping situations on their heads to move forward, and allowing ourselves to let go so tightly of things that we think we need to control. That's also another form of courage. Trust.